Good morning to the Fall Youth Board meeting. My name is Kevin Ryan. I'm your chair for this morning. So we're going to start with introduction. The room is set up differently. So I'm looking around. The room is set up differently than normal. So I think we'll start on this end with introductions, and then we'll start the program.
Community Affairs Bureau Youth Services.
Jermaine Williams, DYCD.
Priscilla, Youth Board Member.
Welcome.
Somebody, right?
General Brown, Workers' Law, Board of Mayor's Office, Workers' Development.
Tom Pendleton, New York City Department of Education.
Ray Wadowski, consultant to non-profits and foundations, and executive director at the trustees of the Sailors Nonprofit.
Priscilla Guo, Youth Rep.
Courtney Ramirez, ACS, representing Commissioner Cameron.
Nancy Waxman, Board of University. Liz Cribs, member of Arundel.
Right now, we're going to go forward.
Board Member.
Wanda Ascherl, DYCD.
David Fisher, Center for Youth Employment.
And Darrell Rattray, DYCD.
Thank you. So we'll start the meeting today with the commissioner's remarks.
It's a very long report, so please read the 5 pages. But I want to highlight, first of all, I want to welcome Priscilla. She was just appointed by the council. It's her first board meeting. Thank you for making it on very short notice. It's been a busy summer, as it always is at DYCD. Busy, but very fulfilling. I want to focus on a couple of major things that happened this summer and some of the things to look forward to this fall. As people have probably heard, and I know Anthony was very good at sharing information about the Summer Youth Employment Program. We had a record number, another record number of young people served, over 60,000 young people in the Summer Youth Employment Program. Over almost 11,000 work sites. 40% of them private sector, Modell's again, every store was a work site. But I think the big story, which I think wasn't played up as much in the press coverage, was that for the first time in 16 years, the city funding for the program was made permanent. So what many of you know who've been in government, the budget dance that every summer, every June, the city council and the mayor negotiate the budget, and the Summer Youth Employment Program is one of those programs that gets money literally a week or 2 weeks before the start of summer. So this year we got 2 weeks notice, which is more than 1 week notice, and we the staff of DYC and the nonprofits did an incredible job. They brought on 25,000 young people out of 60,000 in 2 weeks. Now I think we reached a capacity challenge at a certain point. I think we reached it this year because it really impacts the quality of the placement for a young person. It impacts the engagement with the employer because the 35,000 who were selected early on in May had an opportunity to look at options. The employers had some opportunity to consider young people so that we could try to match young person with the job. But when we have to bring on 25,000 young people in 2 weeks, it's a challenge. So the good news is now that the city funding is permanent, that in January, when we reconvene the 100+ organizations to plan next summer, we'll have certainty about the city funding, which constitutes something like 72% of the budget. And by April, when the state adopts its budget, the remainder will, most of them, it's about 20%, and the remainder is private money and some small amount of federal money. So it remains to be seen how many more young people will serve next year. One of the things that came out of the budget process this year is that a committee with the city council and hello? Hello? A committee with the city council and the administration and other stakeholders will be convening next week and be meeting for the next 3 months to look at several issues. One of which, how much more money should be added to the program, because each year we get well over 100,000 young people. This year we got 139,000 applicants. So what is the right number of jobs we should have budgeted? And two, what improvements we can make? And I was talking to Tom earlier that I would love to figure out a way that we can build in the career and technical education schools into the design of the summer youth employment program so that young people have made some choices about the kind of careers they want to pursue. And the vast majority of young people have not made their choice. In fact, the benefit of the summer youth employment program is to give people opportunities to explore careers. Because when you're 16 and 17, you're still trying to figure out what your path in life will be. But for those who have, we should try to build on that experience, the work that the Department of Education does. So the other, I think, important thing that we did this summer is we increased the number of young people who got summer jobs who were court involved in foster care or homeless. And I think the key to us doing that was working closely with our sister agencies, ACS, Department of Probation, Department of Homeless Services, but really working with people who had an idea of which young people made the most sense. Because not every young person is ready to work who might be court involved. So one great example, and we hope to replicate this in other settings, is we worked with the Broome Street Academy, which is a charter school that the door funds, and half the young people in that school, it's a high school, are homeless by choice. That's the design of the charter school. So this year, I think we placed something like 200 young people who were homeless in summer jobs. And the great thing is that you have a lot of preparation work that goes into working with these young people during the school year, and when the summer job is over, there's someone to hand them back to. So we're hoping to build on these successes for next year, and hopefully we'll have a better sense of what the budget will be for the summer youth employment program, hopefully by February, because that's when the city's preliminary budget gets released. And so if there's additional money, we won't have this last-minute scramble of adding 25,000 or whatever the number is in mid-June. The other thing I want to highlight is that we didn't serve a record, but we served a significant number of young people in our summer camps and summer enrichment programs this summer. We got an infusion of last-minute money from the City Council, again, mid-June. 23,000 young people were added to the programs we already had funding for. So we served something in the neighborhood of 93,000 young people in summer camps, both elementary and middle school. The good news is that the chancellor has reached out to me, and we're starting a planning process for next summer to figure out how we can do it better. In fact, the first meeting is going to be in a couple of weeks. So that's a good sign, because historically, most of our programs are located in public schools, and to the extent we can do better coordination with the school system, it's going to end up with a better quality program. And the last thing I want to bring attention to is that this is the 25th anniversary of the Beacon Community Center program started by Mayor Jenkins. Hello? Started by Mayor Jenkins in 1991, and my predecessor, Richard Murphy. And so the advantage of being in an economy which is great, the city's budget is great, is that we've been able to secure more funding for the Beacon program for the first time in 20 years. There's been 20 years of budget cuts. And so starting this July, the Beacon budget went from 336,000 or so to 400,000, and we're issuing a request for proposal, and the full funding will be 550,000 starting July 1st of next year. A lot of hard work, a lot of advocacy, strong commitment by Mayor de Blasio to do this, and so I feel good about the Beacon program now. I think we can add new services and bring back services that we eliminated during the 20 years of cuts. So there's a celebration of the 25th anniversary. We have limited space, right, Daryl? So you have to be nice to Daryl. It's going to be October 27th at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Daryl, gold credit goes to Daryl to get the space. And if you're really, really interested in going, because we do have finite space, the steering committee members will be invited. Please see Anthony, and we'll try to figure it out. But it's a great opportunity. Mayor Jenkins will be there. We're working with Mayor de Blasio there as well. It's a great opportunity. We don't get enough time. We don't oftentimes celebrate victories, and this is a great victory for us to celebrate. So there are other, any questions people have, but there's a lot of information in the report.
No, just a question, if it's now 550,000, what had it been?
Oh,
The beacon, if it's 550,000 now,
Right.
going forward,
right.
what was it before?
Oh, it was, Darryl, what's the number before?
Approximately.
Back in 91 or?
And if, recently,
Oh, recently.
Recently, on average, 330,000.
right,
So this fiscal year,
That's
we're
right.
going up to 400,000, and then for the RFP, starting at FY18, then we have 550.
550.
So it's a 65% increase. Now, if you look at when Mayor Dinkins launched this initiative in 1991, it was 450,000. So,
Yes, right.
so it's all relative,
Right.
that, because of the cost of inflation and everything else, 550 in that context is not as much. I know the advocates wanted 650, but the most we could get was 550, so hey,
Right.
I'm not gonna complain.
Bill, are you going to increase the number of beacon sites, or is it just the existing sites?
Right now, the plan is existing sites. Anything else?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
So, really quickly, the minutes are in your packet, so we just wanted to get that out of the way. Does anybody have any additions, subtractions, changes to the minutes? No, so I call for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor of approval? Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to call Jermaine. You're up. DYCD Smiles of Love Gift Drop.
Good morning, everyone. Hello. Good morning. As you guys may remember, last year I presented at the December meeting, which was kind of a tight fit because it was 2 weeks before we had to hand out all the gifts. So now I'm going not only to highlight all the great work that we did with the 2015 toy drive, but I'm also going to go into a brief detail and brief report about how we plan to expand and double our efforts for this upcoming holiday season. So by far, last year's toy drive was the most successful in DYCD history. We collected over 1,500 toys.
Tell them how much we did the year before.
The year before was about 325. So in collecting that many toys, as opposed to the toys just going to our after-school programs, we were able to expand it. So we gave to Compass, Beacon, Cornerstone students. We were also able to provide not only toys, but also clothes for the mothers in our mother-child programs. And we were also able to give gifts to the participants of our fatherhood programs. In addition to the 1,500 gifts, we also got 1,300 books from Scholastic donated directly from Scholastics and also through ACS. The beauty of having all these gifts, not only were we able to do our own holiday gift drive, but we were also able to do 2 Three Kings events in partnership through the Mayor's Office of the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. And we also were able to give gifts towards to Eid in early June. Last year, we culminated our efforts by having 4 simultaneous events on December 19th, where students came in, we had entertainment, food, and then we had them collect their gifts. And then we also did one standalone event on that Sunday at Brooklyn Borough Hall, which the mayor attended, and he was on hand to not only talk to the kids, but he also handed out gifts. And it was very funny because he stuck around after the gifts were handed out, and he started taking selfies with the kids, and so he was all over social media and all over our accounts. This year, our efforts are to collect 2,000 gifts. We're going to probably have a storage issue, Commissioner, because I don't know where we're going to hold them. But we're going to initially...
We need gift wrappers as well, that's the other...
So we're officially going to kick off the collection of the donations November 1st and carry that till December 9th this year. So, in addition to donating gifts or helping us set up like your local donations, like the Commissioner mentioned, we are also offering volunteer opportunities. So you can come help wrap gifts. You can come also to the main events and help give out the toys to the kids. This year, similar to last year, we'll be doing it for all of our programs, ages 6 all the way up to 18. I'm putting together the 2016 toolkit that I'm going to have Anthony email out, if not later this week, next week. The toolkit will include this year's flyer, the suggested list of toys, as well as a banner for your bin or box if you do choose to hold, your own toy drive that you would like to donate to us. And that's about it. If you have any questions.
Thanks, Jermaine. 2,000, that's a lofty goal. That's good. So we're going to move on now to board elections. So I want to first thank the Youth Board Standards, Rules, and Nominations Committee, long title, for your support and help in moving forward the elections for the Youth Board. So we have our 3 previous Youth Board committee members who have put their names forward again. Thank you, all 3 of you, Anthony, Erica, and Sybil. Anthony for vice chair, Erica for secretary, and Sybil for corresponding secretary. So only, unfortunately, some of you will be left out of this vote because it's only for Youth Board members, but we're moving forward this slate, and I need a motion to approve the elections of this committee. Motion. Thank you. Second. Thank you. So all in favor? Yes. Okay, any opposed? No? Congratulations, you're with us for another year. Thank you. I also want to just mention, Priscilla's here. We also have another new Youth Board member who's not here, Patricia Masir. I think her name is Masir? Makir. Who's not with us today. We're continuing to try to add new Youth Board members. We have a number of vacancies, and we hope to, in the next cycle, to add additional members as we go forward. Now, let's go to the presentation on the Beacon concept paper.
Good morning. You hear me? It's not sounding too loud. So good morning, everyone. As our commissioner mentioned earlier, we are celebrating 25 years of community service through our Beacon program, and we are releasing an RFP. We anticipate releasing an RFP this year, but we currently released a concept paper, which I will walk you through the process and what we're proposing. And then I'll open it up for any comments and or questions. So just a little background on the Beacon program. The Beacon was established in 1991 by Commissioner Richard Murphy of the Department of Youth Services. We initially were located in 10 high poverty neighborhoods that had widespread concern about public safety and drug-related crime. And then Richard Murphy's vision at the time was to create dozens of small universes in which young people could learn, dream, and grow, and in the process stay out of trouble. The goal of these programs is to establish safe havens for the community residents and to avail themselves of social services, recreation, education, and vocational services. Our commissioner mentioned about the funding level. We are currently in fiscal year 17 bringing up all of our service levels to $400,000, and we are anticipating increasing that to $550,000 per Beacon. So our commissioner mentioned 80, so all 80 programs will, all 80 programs will receive $550,000. The Beacon initiative is supported by city tax levy dollars and federal community development block grants. The anticipated contract term will be 3 years from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2020, with an option of DYCD to renew for up to an additional 3 years. A little bit about the program design and what we're proposing. There are going to be 3 types of program activities. They're called drop-in activities, and they include recreational opportunities, self-directed study, open gym, planned activities, and these offer participants expanded learning opportunities and a chance to pursue their passion and explore new interests. And then the other large component is our community events. The core activities that are going to drive these types of programs are going to be educational, which is anywhere from ESOL, literacy classes, the community building, leadership, civic engagement, service projects, healthy living, healthy relationships, physical fitness, sports, counseling, financial literacy, and employment and financial security, career opportunities, job readiness, and last but not least, recreation and enrichment, which can consist of art projects and activity clubs. Proposed service level. All programs are going to be required to serve 1,200 young adults and adults. Youth 21 years of age and under are going to be participating in what we're calling the drop-in and planned activities, and we're expecting 600 young adults. And adults 22 years and older, drop-in and planned activities, we're anticipating about 100. And then for the community events, it's a mix of all ages, and we are anticipating 500, which equals the 1,200. Out of the 600 planned enrolled students, we are recommending that programs at a minimum serve 100 elementary students, 100 high school students, and 100 middle school students. And for the one thing that's also different in this concept paper that's different from previous is that we are identifying someone enrolled that attends at least five times. What that means, in the past it was always you just attend once and you're counted as part of being enrolled. Now if you're attending activities, we are anticipating that programs have 5 instances of attendance. Service levels for the school year. So with the 200 young adults that are going to be enrolled in the program, we are also recommending that programs have some flexibility in what the targeted age group that they want to concentrate on during the school year. So we're having programs decide whether they're going to concentrate in elementary population, and if they choose to serve elementary population, they would have to meet the outcomes requirements of 80% average daily attendance. If they choose to serve predominantly middle school population, then they would have to meet the 150 hours per participant, and then for high school, 100 hours per participant. When you see the 200 and the number sign, it's because we want to allow for that flexibility for programs to decide what is the area of concentration. We have programs that are located in high school buildings. It's not ideal for them to serve elementary. They may want to concentrate on serving 100, predominantly more high school students, because it makes sense. And vice versa. We are located in elementary buildings. I know the high school kids are not going to want to utilize these small furniture, so we're allowing that flexibility. The other thing that's new that I want to highlight is that at least 100 of the enrolled participants, in partnership with the Department of Education, we are recommending that the provider proposes to serve students that fit that age group within that school building. So again, if it's an elementary space, the idea is that you're going to serve elementary students predominantly. But it doesn't mean that a provider can't propose to obviously have high school students, especially in the evening when they're utilizing the gym and multipurpose spaces. Summer. In the summer, again, number signs, for that flexibility, the only thing that we are asking is that programs enroll at a minimum 175 young people. But there's flexibility in whether they, how many elementary, how many middle, and how many high school. We've actually conducted several discussions around the concept paper, and one of the things that has come up is around programs interested in perhaps designing something a little bit more creative for, let's say, high school students as opposed to just elementary. So we're definitely kind of coming back and looking at those comments and feedback as we continue, as we develop the actual RFP. Hours of operation. So hours of operation, weekdays, Monday through Friday, Saturdays, and or Sundays, and during the school year. Minimum operating hours, it's right after school ends. So as soon as classes end, the program begins, and it ends at 10 p.m. And then on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And during holiday camp, which is school closing, we have from 8 to 6 p.m. But programs also have the opportunity to close for 15 days to provide for PD. During the summer, 8 to 6, and one thing that's new that we're proposing is extended summer hours. And currently this year we were able to pilot at 6 of our programs, and we are going to meet in the next few weeks to solicit feedback and conversation around what worked, what didn't work, as we propose to have extended learning time during the summer. And then again, providers, you know, we'll have that flexibility as they're proposing. School partnership. So a positive and productive relationship between the Beacon and its host schools is fundamental to the program's success. So one thing that we're doing is we've always included a PSA, which is our school partnership agreement, as part of the RFP process. This time around, we're asking, once we make the awards, for the SPAs to be signed post-award selection, but before, obviously, the contract development. We're also including in our RFP that the Beacon director, as part of this partnership, is part of the school leadership team and or building councils. And one of the outcomes for the Beacons this year, in the past it was a concentration on middle school, we're looking at increase in days of attendance among Beacon participants with histories of chronic absenteeism. And again, these are things that we've developed jointly in partnership with the Department of Education. Staff roles, qualifications, and experience. Full-time Beacon director. This person is pretty much our mini executive director. They are meeting with principals, meeting with community partners, meeting with parents, conflict mediation, hiring staff. They run the gamut. So we are expecting a full-time director. One other element, this is new for this round for the RFP, but it's not new to the framework of the Beacon, and that is an outreach coordinator. And this person, we're hoping is someone that's part of that community, knows the families that reside in that community, and can help with some of the recruitment, retention, and most importantly with the absenteeism indicator. And how DYCD is going to monitor all of these contracts, our staff will review enrollment and participation data to ensure contract compliance, compliance with attendance measures, and overall program observations of proposed activities. So we conduct several site visits throughout the year. And that's the end of my piece. So I guess I'm going to open it up for comments. I know you asked our commissioner some questions, but if you have any comments.
I have a question for you. Even though it's mentioned on there, I'm curious as to whether or not there is any emphasis on out-of-school youth. Even though it says it there, ages, whatever, but you kept on saying high school as opposed to high school age. And is there, recognizing all the young people who could enjoy this kind of activity, is there any emphasis at all for out-of-school youth?
There isn't a specific language that emphasizes out-of-school youth, but we're opening it up so that our programs are pretty much making it available to everyone.
But how do you deal, for example, with absenteeism if they're not there?
Well, we're going to be working with the Department of Education. They're going to actually give us and provide us with data.
No, I mean the other way around.
Okay.
Kids are out of school. They're out of work and they're out of school.
So there are two things that we're doing. Anyway, there.
Thank you.
So there are several things that are also mentioned in the concept paper. For the first time, we're requiring every proposal to have 3 partnerships, because we want to move toward a much more integrated agency. So oftentimes, you have a great program that works with young people not in school, not in work, but they're a few blocks away and they need a place to do recruitment. So we're very deliberate in requiring people to figure out how to work with other nonprofits and other city agencies. So besides the Department of Education, we're starting partnerships with the fire department, the police department here, but they have an exam coming up for firefighter in April. And as you know, they're under court order to bring on a more diverse workforce. So I reached out to them and we're mapping, has the mapping been finished yet or we're still doing it?
It's been finished, they're decided.
Okay. They identified which neighborhoods had the largest number of young people of color, 17 and a half and older, right? Was that the analysis? Right. And because, they recognize to take the exam to be a firefighter, you have to be at least 17 and a half, and to be 20, you have to be 21. So we mapped out their neighborhoods and our community centers, both the Beacons and the Cornerstone community centers, and we want to plan a series of activities between now and April to not just promote the exam, but also the possibility of a career in being a firefighter. So recently we had, with some of our young people in the Summer's Employment Program and our Young Adult Internship Program, we did a firefighter for a day thing on Randall's Island. And the young people had to spend the entire day going through the drill, climbing up ropes, jumping on cars, the whole bit. I'm telling my staff, no workers' comp can try to do this. In fact, actually, the young kids actually signed the equipment. So we're trying to figure out ways to use the Beacons and the Cornerstones as community centers to co-locate services, so that while we're not paying for a service, let's say, to our workforce, we want them to collaborate with a program that might be getting funding in that neighborhood. So, because we're mindful of what $550,000, how far it can go. So we want to, so this is the first time we've required partnerships. We've always encouraged it, but when you're the funder and you require it, it has a bigger impact. The other thing I think that I want to talk about is that the job of the outreach coordinator is really to work with the Department of Education and identify a lot of young people who have poor attendance records. And sometimes the way to get them interested in school is to get them first involved in the after-school activities. And so that's a big part of what the outreach coordinator will be doing, is to look at those young people who are chronically absent and figure out maybe this is a strategy to reconnect them.
First of all, excellent presentation. It was really easy to digest, so thank you. You mentioned in the paper that there's a community-based prevention component for some organizations, some of them Beacons and some don't have a community-based prevention for foster care. Can you talk a little bit about, if one has that component, do they get more funding or how that works?
So yes, we have currently 15 programs that are ACS preventive funded, and the answer is yes, they do get additional dollars towards their preventive services.
And what is that? What do the services look like? Just at a high level, what are the
So the services vary, but predominantly they have social workers, they work with families, they have a certain number of families that they're contracted to serve, and they have family counseling, they have home visits, and when we created this partnership, the idea was for the ACS component to be able to seamlessly also make referrals to the after-school program. But they work closely. We're working with ACS right now to really envision that framework, because currently the referrals are made through ACS. I think ACS is now exploring alternate ways where referrals can be made. Feedback from principals has always been, I want some of my kids to be able to participate in the ACS preventive, and there've been some restrictions around that, but that's something that we're exploring in partnership with ACS.
Great, thanks. And one other thing I noticed, the principals have a formal role in the selection process. I think that's excellent. Has that always been the case, or is that something new?
It's something new for us. Our Compass program this year through our Sonic, they've been actually working in closely with the principals, and have actually created like mini conversations with principals to talk about the design, what's working, what's not working, and then the idea is to how do you now disseminate those best practices and that information more largely throughout the city.
So my question was, I would encourage you to consider putting career exploration under the employment category, because I think for many of these young people, that's the kind of employment effort that would be useful at the age that many of the participants are. So just wanted to add that. And is there a place to write, like, is there an opportunity to send written comments once we digest this more fully?
Yes, comments are open until September 30th. September 30th. So you have about 2 weeks.
Is there like, does the website have a place?
Yes, the website does have a place. There's an email, and you can just submit all your comments via.
We'll take comments afterwards. So.
I have a question about increased improvement in attendance being one of the outcomes. That seems like a tough one to me. I think we all know that attendance or non-attendance is determined by many different factors. And I'm wondering if it's realistic to think that a Beacon program that maybe is not intensive involvement with the family can actually deliver.
Well, as part of this partnership with the Department of Education, we are working really closely with the school administration. As I mentioned earlier, to even have access, one of the things that Chris Caruso mentioned yesterday during our focus group was they're thinking around having directors have access to the ATS system. But we are also going to be encouraging Beacon directors to work closely with the SLT and the guidance counselors and other folks within the school to help strategize and be creative in how you're going to target that population. So it's not that it's I think this is the first time we're actually like concentrating and tracking it, but we've had programs that have had success in young people being more inclined to attend our program and then in turn attend the school day. The difference now is that we're going to be working more closely with the DOE to actually look at that data.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that the way this is written here, it seems like this is going to be one of the indicators that the program will be judged on in terms of its contractual obligations. And I'm not sure it should be seen as a mandate. It might be better seen as this is something important, but, Beacon program, I mean, the Department of Ed spends probably billions of dollars on attendance improvement, and they have mixed results. So it's hard to imagine that a small program like this can turn that around. So I would just suggest you look at that as a non-mandatory factor.
Can I just add, as being somebody from the DOE, I don't know if you guys are meeting with the department. I think to be, as somebody that's run these kinds of programs, even internally with the DOE, the key is going to be that you guys have to have a high-level leadership group that can intervene, because if the school staff don't want to participate, the CBO has no control over that. So you can tell them they have to be part of the SLT, but they might not invite you to the meeting. Right. They can tell you the guidance counsel's busy, you can't go talk to them. So we're assuming that everybody wants to do this, but you'll have success where the principals and the staff want to work with you. If you don't have people that understand what's going on and see you as intruders, then you're putting the CBO in a very challenging position because they can't tell the principal what to do. And so, then you've got to be able to have DYCD and DOE people from above who are meeting quarterly at least and reviewing and saying, we need to go over the school and do marriage counseling because they have to be on board with this. We're going to hold
And Tom, we're already anticipating pushback. So we've been, I think the mantra from us has been from the top down that Tweed needs to mandate this, and as we see these problems of pushback rise up, that we're going to intervene immediately. But it's also going to be the spill that's going out to principals and superintendents, so we can actually create something that's meaningful going forward. And actually, to your point about the attendance prevention, so just two points to that. One is that the Beacon's only responsible, if you will, for the young people who are in the Beacon program that show chronic absenteeism. So it's not an entire school improvement, it's just the young people who are part of the Beacon program that they identify. And two, to your point, absolutely, we understand that we're not mandating that the improvement happens, we are mandating that they attempt the intervention. So we're not going to hold them accountable if it doesn't increase. We understand what they have to deal with. But if they should try.
Yeah, Carol, I think that's an important point, and when you write up the RFP, maybe we need to phrase it that way. Can I just ask another question? On one of the earlier slides, you talked about programming for adults and young people, community events. What sort of things are those? Like
Community events?
Community events, is it like health fairs?
Yeah,
stuff
health
like that?
fairs. We're looking at programs oftentimes do community events during the startup of the summer for recruitment, to kind of highlight what's coming up, and then the reverse for during the school year. So they do large events to market their services. But yeah, health fairs, things like that.
Thank you. So we're gonna have to move on to our next presentation. No, thank you for all the questions too.
And if you have any other questions, the link is on our DYCD website, and definitely send or any additional comments that way. Thanks.
So we're going to move right into the next presentation or discussion on participant tracking system.
Hi, good morning, everyone. How's it going? My name is Imad Olmos. I'm a senior project manager for our department here at DYCD.
And I'm Astrid Spota. I'm the Director of Analytics here at DYCD.
So today we are very excited because we're about to talk about one of our major modernization projects here at DYCD. It's specifically in regards to the participant tracking system, where really at its onset we're trying to facilitate multiple ways of opportunity. Right, there we go. Had to sneak that one in. But really, it was, when we got a hold of this project, it was really more about how do we tell the DYCD story, right? We have tons of money coming in, the mayor came in, we expanded, we doubled in size, and we said, okay, how can we best map our impact in our investments? And how can we help CBOs day to day? So let's give you a little insight around what we hope to achieve in the future. Right now, we're trying to consolidate a couple of systems between after-school, youth employment, community development into one. That way we can map the story of one participant as a whole. It'll take the entire participant experience all the way from intake to service tracking, all the way through follow-up, and also including a component that we're calling referrals and pathways. This piece here will actually connect through technology all our programs on the ground. For example, if I'm a high school Beacon student and I want to get in connection with my local NYCHA community development center, there's a cornerstone there. The Beacon would be able to refer me directly to a program in my neighborhood. This usually happened on, via email, telephone, networks. Sometimes, depending on staff transition, it wasn't there, or sometimes there was some great infrastructure at the organization already that facilitated those. And of course, with new toys within a modernized system comes a great value in regards to reporting, analytics, dashboards to help day-to-day operations.
So, through this participant tracking system that Imad was just mentioning, we seek not only to modernize our systems, but also to streamline agency processes concurrently. So, in order to do so, the Planning Program Integration and Evaluation Unit, known as PPI, which I'm part of, is collaborating with IT and other inter and intra-agency stakeholders to really work on enhancing the features, the functions, which thereby would help refine service delivery and ultimately really improve experiences, both on the CBO level in terms of using this interface and having things be easier, more efficient, and then also participants having pathways, which we'll get more into. And as PTS is being built, we've also been thinking about how to engage participants throughout their tenure with DYCD. Ideally, we would love for participants to utilize more than one service, since we have quite a bit to address all different types of needs. But that can be because things are siloed, or systems don't work together as well as they will now that we have this great participant tracking system happening. This is really a way we're really capitalizing on potential opportunities to communicate and liaise with the families we serve throughout basically throughout this whole system that we've identified. So basically this represents on the screen what we consider all the different phases and opportunities, like I said, to communicate and liaise with a participant. So the interest phase refers to participants when participants are looking up programs or their families are looking up programs and they've expressed interest in a facet of that program or location or whatever it may be. So that's an opportunity to engage with them. Next, they decide they would, like to be part of that program. They apply through whatever application process there is for the program. Another opportunity to engage with the participant. After that, DYCD, via the intake process, screens for eligibility, processes the application, decides whether there's a spot, it's a fit, depending on the criteria of the program. Thereafter, DYCD accepts the participant to the program, and the participant accepts being part of the program. And then thereafter, with the active phase, that's basically participant utilization. They're attending, hopefully they're enjoying it. And then last phase is that they've completed some or all sessions of the program. So all of these are different opportunities for us to engage through this system in ways that Imad and I will go through going forward.
So one of the things, the very first question we get in regards to the new system, there's change, right? Change is a little bit scary sometimes. It happens. Right now, our major mechanism, with the exception of SYP, is paper applications. So paper's not going away, right? We're government, we love paper, we'll keep it. But we also have different opportunities in regards to online applications. Everybody that's a part of our network will be able to go into their account and submit an application or a point of interest online. And we will also have mobile capabilities. Everything that we are building right now, you will be able to access on a mobile device. This is really to Department of Youth and Community Development. We're really targeting on that youth market, but we are also understanding that, based on our populations and the people we serve, we definitely need to have multiple mechanisms for them to connect and get their information into our system for future following. Oh, and the next one too. There we go. Really, to explain the referrals part, we had to sit down and analyze a couple of program cycles and a couple of different program models to really make it work, and really take a look at our participants as a whole. The very first type of referral is a self-identified one. Right? That's where I, Imad Olmos, I'm a high school student, and say, hey, I see that program over there. I don't want them to quite know me. I want to get to know them a little bit better. Let me send them my name and my email and see what happens. See what's going on. And that's where our mobile piece comes in, our online piece comes in. We do have a public-facing portal right now, a portal website that shows where all our programs are geographically, and it's called Discover DYCD. So it's a really cool, handy tool. That's actually going to get upgraded to really create synergy between our new systems and what's existed before. An automated referral is one where DYCD will capitalize on what it already knows and has. For example, if we know SYEP, which we always do, it's going to happen in the summer, we will go through all our Beacon and Compass and other participants across our system and say, hey, this is starting in July. Would you like to apply? We won't be eligible at that point. Why not? It also increases marketing, access to our participants, etc. And also, not to forget program to program, which is where Astrid CBOs can refer to Imad CBOs direct participant referrals.
So through the referral system that are the different mechanisms that Imad just mentioned, DYCD will now have the capability to create pathways, which we've been alluding to throughout this presentation. So referrals, again, are the technical mechanism through which pathways are forged, but the pathways are sort of what we refer to as like the logical next steps in service provision in our DYCD myriad of programs that we have. And we have the ability now, based on the referrals, based on the data we're collecting in the new system, to really customize a continuum of programs and services for our participants, so that they could theoretically be served from the beginning of their schooling all the way until they graduate or into adulthood with some of our community service block grant programs. And so the idea is that if they're continuously getting things based on their needs, we will thereby be able to serve more succinctly and also more efficiently, meet the needs, and then help meet our own mission and vision. So reducing poverty and breaking down some of the barriers that the kids and the adults are facing, because we're able to refer and able to give information and connect them more easily and readily than they were previously. And so one example, there's many, but this is just representing one example of a pathway. And we've mapped out all the different pathways based on the eligibilities, criterion of the programs, and it's sort of like a choose your own adventure kind of mapping. But for this one, let's say a child starts in Compass Elementary. The logical next step would be a Sonic program. They're moving on to middle school. Then they could be in WIOA in-school youth. Then they could be in SYEP Laddish for Leaders, because they've been excelling, because they've been getting all of this great programming along the way. And then let's say, DYCD and all the CBOs are really getting to know the needs of these kids. They say, this kid, is a runaway or homeless youth, then they could also, anytime during this trajectory, enroll in or participate in runaway and homeless youth services, which a program could refer them to, because they've identified the need and the technology is being programmed accordingly. Or let's say a brother of that child, that participant, is a young father, so then they can articulate that to whomever, CBO or DYCD, and they can now participate in fatherhood so that the whole family is served. And then, of course, let's say all the siblings are interested in basketball, they can be going to Beacon also concurrently during any point of their tenure with DYCD. And so all of the needs of both the participants and of their families could theoretically be met, and these relationships could be built and rapport could be built. Another feature that we mentioned that will be part of this participant tracking system is also helping streamline reporting for CBOs and internal staff. One of the ways that we will be doing that is through dashboards and reporting functions. So dashboards are really meant to be user-friendly interfaces. They're fewer clicks to get to key performance indicators and the information that one needs to operate their programs or understand how their programs are functioning. The idea is that it's reduced reduced navigation time so that they can actually focus on service provision or the other tasks that are assigned. And it's supposed to be real-time reporting. So you could look at what's happening right now and respond expeditiously rather than have this long lag time, and then things are just less efficient, or things escalate rather than addressing it head on. And then also it's just an easier tool because it's very visual. You can drill down to minute details or see the bigger picture so that you can make informed strategic decision making rather than, again, after the fact decision making. And of course it's customizable and it's personalized, so you can answer your questions faster and so that they also address exactly what you're looking for without having to analyze 5 different reports from 5 different databases. It's all there for you. So we think this will improve not only the CBO experience, but also just help improve policies in our DYCD network overall and decision making, because now there's more functionality to do so. So those are just a few of the features of this modernization system. There's a lot more, but these were the ones that we wanted to highlight today. But we had a bunch of questions for you guys because we think it's really valuable to get your input while we're building this system while it's in progress. So the questions that we had for you guys are: what data points or reports do you think would help support our mission, improve our programs, and enhance participant experiences? What questions in general do you have around our services, our impacts, our measures? And then we were discussing that we will not be getting rid of paper, of course, but because a lot of the functions that we were referring to depend on sort of indicators being filled out, or it depends on making a referral and pressing a button, that requires some technological skills, right? So how do we connect technologically disconnected CBOs and participants to these pathways and referrals, and just what are your general perspective on the implementation of that? What do you recommend? What do you have questions about, etc.? And of course, if you have any questions for us also, that would be helpful.
Just like in relationship to the left. Oh, sorry. You're behind me.
Hi, so I had a couple questions about, I guess, what you're using to protect participant privacy. Specifically, have you done any work in de-identifying the data? What kind of transparency measures are you using? Have you set up data use agreements with the different stakeholders? Yeah.
Let me break that question down in a couple of ways. In regards to protecting privacy, we are behind DUITS. It's our Department of Information Technology and Telecommunications. Shield of armor. We're behind several firewalls. We're a 3-tier structure, so our security is definitely in place. Security accreditation is fully reviewed, and also we have different layers of encryption depending on the program. So of course, somebody like SYEP, WIOA, which requires those security numbers, that is a different level of protection than potentially Compass or RHY, where the data doesn't need to be as restricted because of the confidentiality. We are putting into play, we have crosswalked a lot of the data we are collecting, and we are leaning out, right? We are leaning out all the information that we are gathering just to make sure that we are only gathering the information that we absolutely need to provide excellent program services.
So there isn't any cross-integration with other departments? For example, if you were targeting runaway or homeless youth, like to be collecting information from their service worker?
From their service worker?
The person that's responsible for their case.
Okay, so.
Caseworker, whatever.
Okay, yeah, so we have different terms. So really the participant tracking system will tie itself to the participant story. So there could be certain factors from a user, which in this case could be the service worker, case manager, caseworker, where they may log into the system to provide information, but they themselves wouldn't, they would be able to see some participant information, but other people wouldn't be able to see that information.
Correct me if I'm wrong, down the road, we can't connect with other agencies, we're leaving that option open, right?
Yeah, that option's open. It depends on how we want to.
We're kind of ahead of the game with other city agencies. Part of this is because DYCD is the merger of 3 smaller agencies with 3 different data systems. So we have this very siloed system. So part of this goal was moved towards what I laid out a couple of years ago is making DYCD the settlement house for New York City neighborhoods. We can't do it unless the different programs we fund can talk to each other. So this is step 1 for us. Step 2 is much more citywide effort, where, and then when you deal with other city agencies, they have a lot more legal barriers. Like the Department of Education has all kinds of issues related to student privacy. ACS has all kinds of issues related to confidentiality. Health Department has all kinds of issues related to confidentiality. So that was a bigger nut that we could crack, but we can figure out our small part of the universe so that we have this continuum of service. Because what's frustrating is that we don't have a culture of collective impact. We have a culture of different silos. And so, the real world that the young people and the families that we serve through our CBO network is much more complicated. They come from one service, but they need another service. This will make it easier for the different programs to make referrals and for people to track the impact that the collective effort is having on a young person or a family. So it's a bigger question. We hear you, but the rest of the city's not ready for us.
On the last one, I think I'm adding a problem rather than helping. Sorry, is I do think the issue about CBOs that are not sufficiently technologically in this world is it would seem to me that at least as a positive thing, DYCD, upon recognizing that, to see what can be done to be able to help the organizations rise to level. There's no organization that doesn't want to be more sophisticated, if you will. So I think that at least it's not just finding out that information, but is there something that can happen separate from the issue of money? The other part is any kind of system like this is the added problem, any kind of system like this is based upon the information that's input. And so then what are the implications for each of the organizations that are under DYCD funding as to what is expected of them to input somewhere? And will there be a mandate to reflect referrals? Will there be a mandate that you then say back to the CBO, so in addition to what you're doing, we're expecting you, whether you're putting it into a computer or whether you're doing it by paper. So I'm not really asking for an answer. All I'm saying is that the end user, meaning the CBO, says, oh, blank. Now I have to be able to put in more information rather than saying to a young person or a family, why don't you go check out? So I've sort of added a problem, which I'm sure you're already looking at.
Yeah, I think we're definitely understanding that the capacities of different CBOs obviously vary, but we aim to raise the capacity of all the different CBOs, so we are looking in training on these systems and just in general, what are the prerequisites for them being able to utilize this system, and what can we do if, a lot of staff turnover at CBOs, and so what can we do to ensure, as we're training, that the capacity of all the different staff members are where it is to be able to enter, and then also looking at this collective impact paradigm and making sure that that's infused in all of our language and our policy changes.
Will they be mandated? Will each CBO be mandated to put information regarding referrals, blah, 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 blah? Is that a mandate of DYCD?
So we're just starting to build it out, so it hasn't made its way into the RFPs.
Yeah, but is that the goal?
But I just want to go back to your earlier
Yeah.
point. This new system, to the commissioner's point, we already have data systems.
Right.
We have 3. So we're taking it down to 1 that's much easier than the 3. So it's not introducing a new mandate around technology. We've already had that. This is actually easier. And the firewall is stronger because a lot of our data right now is hosted elsewhere. Right? So now we're bringing it in-house behind DoIT, so it should be safer. And we expect to have meetings with CBOs to talk through this referral piece that you're talking about and what we could expect. So for example, in some of our social service programs, they already have the expectation of referrals. Those are mostly community service block grant funded, so we'll probably keep that and they'll just have to use the system to track it, but they're already tracking it through the Capricorn system. What we'll do for youth services after school, which has a different staffing model, we don't know yet. So we'll be bringing this new capacity to folks, but it's kind of like we need to build it and be thinking about it, but it hasn't made its way into the RFPs other than this, we want to be the settlement house of New York, the values piece. We're really reflecting the commissioner's values and now we're trying to build the systems to better support them.
Thank you.
So I have a question, it's probably more directly linked to the second bullet point. In addition to the obvious benefits of being linked to the referral process, I'm wondering, are there benefits for the actual program participants, perhaps in terms of like ease of application or accessing additional programs, so I don't have to, spend as much time repeating the same information?
Yes. The answer to that.
Yeah, short answer, absolutely yes. The main concept behind the participant tracking system is the master participant index. Therefore, we're taking our values, which are our kids, and saying, okay, this is our kid that was previously inside of DYCD Online, YPS Online, Capricorn, which are 3 different systems here internally, and putting them into one, making it so if I go from Beacon to SYP, that information carries with you. Always you're able to update it, reconcile it, tell your story. Again, I, as a kid, I think I went from Manhattan to Queens, so I would be able to update my information. But again, not a burden where, oh my God, I just gave you this information last year.
And also through the information that they are populating, then being able to, like we were saying, customize programs. Like you articulated based on this intake that you're in Queens and that you're interested in basketball. I keep using that, but here are a bunch of programs that would fit your criteria. If you're interested, click here. Like that's the sort of functions that we're looking at.
Just a suggestion for your third question. So these past couple summers, I've worked a lot with kids in the community centers, and most of them don't have an email account. And actually, what I run is a coding program, so it's pretty interesting that they don't even have a digital identity. Federal law at this point is that you have to be 11 years old at least to create an email. There wasn't such a barrier in the past, but if you want participants in the younger programs, then you're going to have the parents as key stakeholders signing them up in the beginning, and then if you want that account to continue, you're going to have to figure out a way to migrate that information from the parent to the student, and then maybe you want to hold digital identity training sessions, like what does it mean to create an email, or what are these different internet language items like toggling and things like that. So just a suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both very much for that presentation. So we're at time, ready to close out. So thank you all for participating today. Are there any final comments, events, anything anybody want to share before we close out? Next meeting.
Next meeting day is December 7th, so we'll be forwarding out the date soon. And the 2017 dates we're in the process of putting together. So look out for those emails.
Anything else? Anybody else? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you. See you in December.